Hey, everybody. As you heard on the intro, I wear a lot of hats and I love hats. I think the most beneficial part of being everything is just that we don't have to farm anybody out. We're the whole enchilada. We can help you in every aspect of your health, fitness, wellness, spirit, and spiritual journey. So excited for this podcast today. I have my client and friend Vanessa Burt here today, and we are both so excited to share her story. And she did not hesitate when I asked her to come on the podcast. And I think that hopefully I'm speaking okay, saying this okay on your behalf, but I feel like once you decided that you were going to share your after picture, that you were going to be okay with telling your story. Is that pretty spot on? So I wanted to talk about this cube really quick, you guys. This is the silliest thing in the world, and it may be mental, but it works. And if you're listening to this, what we're looking at a black cube, and it has 15, 20, 30, and 60 minutes on it. And then you just turn it to whatever side you want, and then you turn the timer on. I'm going to turn it for 60 minutes, although we probably may go over, but I've been using it for my coffee in the morning. I've been using it for my workout. I've been using it for my appointments with my Mouth at 365 clients, and it's really been keeping me on track. Also, if you don't want to set a timer on your phone because of what are they called? EMF waves? What is the name of that, you guys? I don't know. The cell phone waves, it's a lot better. And it's a silly little thing. If you're interested, we'll include a link for it. Do you have one? I don't. You don't? I'll have to get you one. If you're interested, I think sometimes it'll be on sale for like $6.99, but $9.99 at the most. And if it helps you with your time management skills, it is something that you should get. So we're going to dive into this story. And if you guys have listened to our podcast before, we really try to kind of allow our guests to, go into their childhood. A lot of times we are talking about health and weight loss. So what they were like as a child, what they've tried for different diets, what's worked, what hasn't worked. Where were you at, emotionally, physically, everything when we met? Where are you now? Where are you going? So we're kind of going to flow through that. But a little backstory, Vanessa and we actually went to school together. And I feel like, were you in my sister's grade?
I think.
Tiffany?
Oh, yes.
What year did you graduate?
90.
Yeah. So Vanessa was in my sister's grade. What's really funny for me, I know you've probably kept in touch with a lot of people from the Silver Valley, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's just me or our class, or I'm not really sure what happened. But I kind of got disconnected with everybody that I went to school with. But Melfit has really brought everybody back into my life, and it's really special, and I'm very grateful to be connected with people that knew me when I was younger. And it feels really good to have the people that you went to school with support you. And I tell you what, they will show up. Any event that we've had here, I mean, probably 90% of the room is filled with people from my hometown. If you're listening to this or watching this from somewhere else in the world, I went to school in Kellogg. I grew up up the North Fork River, so real small town, real small community, but made a lot of friendships and a lot of bonds. So I'm super excited for this podcast, Vanessa. So I'm just going to kind of let you start and kind of go back. I think that genetics plays a role in people's weight loss struggle. So that's why I kind of like to start there. So kind of tell me about how you were as a child. Were you active? Were you in sports? Did you have weight troubles? And just kind of take us through your journey.
Okay. So I had a rough life. We grew up in a broken home. And it was together for a while, broke up. My mom and dad got married 4 times to each other.
Oh, wow.
So it was different. And there was times where there wasn't enough food. And that was hard to know that was wrong because I didn't know that was wrong. You know, it was rough. And I was an unwanted child by my mom. So that was hard. And
What do you, if you don't mind me interjecting, what do you mean by wrong with the food? Because we were also the same way, so I can totally relate. On food stamps and
yes, food stamps,
scrounging. A lot of times we
Yes.
ate shit on a shingle and
Like
pancakes for dinner.
potatoes. That's what we would eat. My mom liked to drink, so that was more important than the
Food.
food.
And then is there siblings?
Yes, I have 2 sisters and I had a brother. He passed away at 14.
Okay, so sorry to hear that. So did you feel at the time ashamed because you guys were poor?
No, I didn't know it was wrong. At
Do you,
that time.
do you want to know what's crazy, Vanessa? Is although we were the same way, and I did hang out with people that had a little bit more money, I never felt like anybody I went to school with really made fun of me because most people were in the same boat. Wouldn't you
Yes.
agree?
Yes.
So that was at least something that we had going for us. Now, what would life have been like had we been over here in Coeur d'Alene?
Right.
We probably would have been teased, and it was a struggle. So did you and your sisters and brother, did you guys talk about it, or was it just kind of the way it was?
So later in life, yes, as an adult, and I found out from my older sister, like I came home from elementary school one time and my sisters are older than me, so they weren't there. And they weren't at home when it was just me and my mom a lot. And my mom pretty much beat me. And I was like, what did I do? Well, when I was at school, they asked me what I had to eat. And I said, potatoes. And I got in trouble by my mom, But I didn't know it was wrong, Like my mom would make potato soup and whatever we could make. So it was interesting.
So you said that she didn't like you? You weren't
So
liked,
I wasn't wanted.
wanted.
When I was in the womb, even.
Why do you feel like you weren't wanted, if you don't mind me
Well,
asking?
Her and my dad were divorced at the time.
Okay.
And she went to go get abortion. My dad found out and said absolutely not. Then she was going to adopt me out and did not. My dad stopped her. The reason why my dad told me is because, and I knew, how far apart I am from my siblings. I knew, like, I was a whoops, completely. And my mom, I think, was struggling, with them being apart. And my dad was remarried. And so I just knew from a young age, that I was not wanted. And that hit me hard in my adulthood, especially when I had kids. Because I looked down at my, when I had my first son, and I was like, how could you not want this?
Yeah.
And I was 3 pounds when I was born. So I know my mom was under a lot of stress. And so it was difficult to find out. But then again, it made me a stronger person. And it made me a better mom, I feel. Not that I'm perfect, but I felt like I was better.
Try to break the generational cycle.
Yeah.
I think that if Melanie's listening to this, she can probably relate to wanting to do better than our mother. So maybe she wasn't able to provide a lot financially, but it was enough, and she was safe.
Yes.
And protected and loved. And that matters more than anything. So,
Yes.
so you were a preemie baby. So growing up as a child, did you have any weight struggles then with all the potatoes, with the carbs?
Pretty much when I got older. So and we are my mom and dad are from the South. So when it was good, we would have Southern food fried potatoes and cornbread and like beans, and it was amazing. Salmon cakes, fried, and lots of fried.
And is
So,
your mom still alive?
no.
Oh, she passed? How old was she when she passed away?
She was 81, I think.
Okay. Was she overweight?
I wouldn't say she was overweight, but she wasn't healthy.
Okay.
She wasn't, well, yeah, she probably was overweight actually. At a, not a huge amount, but probably yes.
How old was she when she had you?
Oh man, in her 30s.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And did you guys reconcile before she passed?
It was hard because she had Alzheimer's. So it was very difficult when I was ready to talk to her about it.
Okay. Okay. I get that. Yeah, for sure. I think I had my come to Jesus moment with my mother just literally 2 years ago. So I totally understand how long a child can harbor feelings and resentment. And people think, there's two types of people, If you sweep things under the rug, you trip over it later. And that's probably what happened to both of us. But you don't really realize that that's what you're tripping over.
Right.
You just keep pushing forward.
You do.
And I think that a lot of things that have come up for me lately, anyways, the question that people ask me is why now? Why now? Because it affects every ounce of your being. Yeah. Your childhood determines who you are as an adult. I don't care if anybody listening or watching wants to argue with me. It does.
It does.
And, I think that's why it's so awesome that you recognize that and you wanted to give your kids a different life.
Yes.
and they know they are loved.
Yes, they do.
And then your dad's still alive?
No.
Your dad's passed too?
Passed in his 50s.
Okay.
Of cancer.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That was a hard one. We really restored our relationship.
Okay.
And he showed me who to depend on, and it was God.
Yeah.
And that he is my rock, and he's the only way to get through things, which is true. I feel like I've had all my healing and everything through prayer and just reading the Bible and knowing that he's there, every step.
So were you closer with your dad towards the end then?
For sure. I didn't have a relationship with him for a long time because mom was he's, doesn't want anything to do with us. He's, off doing his own thing with his wife and all this stuff. And I was like, it was hard for me because I really wanted a relationship with him. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I felt like, did he fight enough for me? Because sometimes I feel like men don't because they feel like they can't. I think is a lot of it.
They're no match for a mother.
Yes.
I get that. Well, our mom did the same thing for us. We've never met our dad, and we finally saw a picture of him when we were 27. Oh, wow. So I really think it's unfair, no matter what the circumstances are between, your mother and father. It's very unfair of a mother to not allow you to have that choice.
Right.
And also, as children, you're brainwashed. All we ever heard was, oh, he cheated on my mom. And needless to say, he didn't turn out to be the best, but that's a whole nother story. But that's up to us to decide whether. So, yeah, gosh, we have a lot in common.
Yes.
Ooh, that's crazy. So, when you were growing up, you were pretty much the only sibling at home.
Yes.
And when you graduated from high school, were your parents still together?
No.
Okay. No. At what age did they separate?
I think I was in 7th or 8th.
Okay. So would you say your kind of middle school to high school years were pretty rough because of it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I was rough. I got into the party scene and drinking and
I know
smoking.
I know I've partied with you.
Oh, yeah. Smoking and, doing the not eating. I would not eat. I ate maybe once a day, and I was
So, yeah.
unhealthy skinny.
Exactly. Because through high school, you had no weight problems.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I liked my cigarettes and my pop and,
Okay. And you don't smoke anymore.
oh, no.
Okay.
When I found out my dad had cancer, I threw my cigarettes.
Was it lung cancer?
It was from chewing
Oh, okay.
and smoking pretty much, but
Okay.
mostly chewing.
Okay. And then do your sisters live around here?
One lives in Montana and one lives in Virginia.
And are you guys very close?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
That's good.
They're my rocks.
Oh, good. Did you just see your sister when you?
I did. I
you
went to Montana.
What part of Montana?
They're in Columbus, Montana.
Okay.
But my son did a men's wrestling tournament in Billings, Montana.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So.
How much older are your sisters than you?
12 years, 13 years.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Do they watch out for you? Or are you like the baby?
So, yes. And if it wasn't for them, sometimes there's things I wouldn't have had. There's things I wouldn't have been able to do.
Oh, that's great.
And pretty much, my one sister pretty much saved our lives after I was born, because my mom was on the phone one night telling my dad she was going to kill us all and herself.
Oh, my gosh.
She got us out of the house, and we were at my grandma and grandpa's for a while. So.
Do you remember that?
No, I was a baby. It was after I was born.
Do you think it was postpartum depression?
I think there was something going on mentally with my mom. I'm not sure what exactly, but probably.
Was she diagnosed bipolar or anything like that? You should write a book, Vanessa.
I know. I've thought
You
about
really
it.
should. Yeah, I'm writing.
I really thought about it.
You know that. You should. You know what I think to myself is, if nobody reads it, at least your kids will always have that and know your story. And honestly, if it can influence one person, did you realize that we would have so much in common?
No.
I mean,
I really didn't. When you look at somebody on the outside, no. Yeah. But when you really get deep down,
yeah,
it's amazing the things.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we all have stuff, that's for sure. So, but yeah, I think it can be really beautiful when you turn your pain into purpose.
Oh, for sure.
And, as a Christian as well, we're servants of God, and everything's just easy. When you make it about other people and serving God's people, it's pretty darn easy to figure out the route you're going to go. So I think for me, starting to write my book is that I led with that. This isn't about me. This is about who can I help? Who will be inspired by this? So think about that. So, okay. So where do you want to go from here? Kind of like after high school, what happened?
So
Did you leave?
me and my husband got married.
Because you guys are high school sweethearts.
Yeah, I was still in high school and he was out, but he was a little bit older than me, like a couple years. So,
How long have you guys been together?
30.
My husband would know. I don't know why. He knows and I don't. I always
30.
have to figure it out.
4?
That's amazing.
34, 35.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
We dated for 2.
That's great.
So it's amazing that we've went through some rough patches, and I think a lot of that stems from my childhood and probably his, part of it.
Yeah.
But one thing I told him the day we got married was, I'm not getting married to get divorced. So
Yeah. Yeah.
walk out now if you think that's the case.
Not a fair weather wife.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everybody always thinks it's greener. The grass is greener on the other side of the fence, but everybody has issues to go through, and
For sure.
yeah. And you're not the same person now that you were when you were in high school, or your 20s, or your 30s, or your 40s, or your 50s. I personally think it gets better.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah.
Like at this point, I'm just like, I know what irritates him. He knows what irritates me.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. And yeah, it's just easier.
Yeah.
So you graduate from high school and then you move in with Kelly?
Yes.
Okay.
We rented a house and We moved to the state line out here probably about 3 months after we got married, and might be a little longer than that. But we lived in a duplex in Kellogg on Elm Street. So that
Gosh.
was.
Where was Elm Street? I feel like, did I live on Elm Street? Which street was Elm
So
Street?
do you remember where Pickwick was? Or Hoffman's Boots now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's down
Oh, like
one
right
of the
off of the
side
railroad?
streets.
Okay, yeah. Wow. It's weird to hear all those things.
It was,
Okay.
it was quite the little house.
Okay.
It just had one heater in it, and
It what?
it had like one heater in the living room.
Oh
And,
my gosh. Wow. Oh, that's crazy.
yeah. But it was fun, being on your own. And so it was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I couldn't wait to be on my own.
Me neither. I wanted out.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't have a good childhood.
Yeah.
So you guys lived in Kellogg for a while.
Yep. Then we moved to the state line, and that's when I started working at a Quick Stop. Got robbed on Thanksgiving Day at noon.
Oh my gosh.
It was interesting.
With a gun?
Oh yeah, with the rifle, and he shot over my head, and I seen him coming because there was all windows. You know the Walgreens in Post Falls?
Yeah.
That used to be called Jackpot. It was a Quick Stop.
Okay.
And I seen the guy with the rifle, and I kind of went, oh, crap. And all the customers are looking at me like, what? And I'm like, I'm going to get robbed. And they threw their money at me, and a lot of them got out. But there was a few in there, and he was taking their money, and he shot right over my head. If I wouldn't have ducked, I would have been gone. So,
Did they catch him?
yes, interesting enough, one of the customers ran out and shot his tire out, and he was by Tidyman's, and two firemen were helping him change his tire. And he had
Oh my gosh.
he that earlier that morning robbed another place.
Oh my gosh.
So that was interesting.
Did you quit? Were you scared?
No, I didn't quit.
You didn't? Wow.
I stayed till I got pregnant and had my son, and then I quit because I was like, I am not working here, and I would have been minus the money taking him to a daycare,
Yeah.
I made like $3 an hour, and I was like, I look back, I still have a check stub, and
$3 an hour?
$3.85.
Oh my gosh.
And I look at that check stub, and I'm like, this could have been my life.
Yeah.
For $3.85 an hour.
I know. Wow.
It's crazy to
Yeah.
think about that.
Yeah.
Thank God, I feel like God was with me, even though I wasn't following him
Yeah.
so many times in my life that
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then after I quit, it was funny because I was at home and we were watching 60 Minutes. And it said the most dangerous jobs in the United States, and number one was working at a convenience store.
Gosh. Oh gosh.
I was thinking of mine
Yeah.
or something be number.
Yeah.
No, it was
Yeah.
working at a convenience
Oh
store.
wow. That's crazy.
So yeah.
So
And then we
crazy.
moved back to Cataldo, lived there for quite a while, and then we moved to Pinehurst, lived there probably 14 years, and then we moved over here about 14 years ago. So it was interesting.
And how many kids?
2 boys.
2 boys. And they're out of the house, right?
Oh yeah,
How old are they?
30 and 28.
Wow. Yeah. And grandkids.
I have one beautiful granddaughter.
It's so awesome, isn't it?
Yes, I love it.
We've been empty nesters for like 10-ish years.
It's fun.
It is, because then it's just about you.
Yeah.
It's like not trying to worry about where your kids are and going and
Yes.
tracking them down in the middle of the night. If you're listening to this, Marissa.
Yeah.
Do you know they're both my stepdaughters, but when I met my husband, they were 4 and 5. So helped raise them. One of them lived here, and she was, kind of came and went every other weekend or whenever. And then I took my stepdaughter through the worst years, 9th through 12th grade.
Oh, yes.
And one day she thought she was going to run away. and she got our little garbage sack and put her stuff in it. And I went knocking on the parents' door, and I'm like, unless you want to aid and abet or run away, send my stepdaughter Marissa out here. And she gets in the car, and I was like, don't forget where I'm from. I came from a really rough town where there was a lot of drugs and alcohol, and anything that you've done, I've done, and I can find you anywhere.
Right.
And she was like, oh, crap. And honestly, if it was just my husband, he wouldn't, he's just lazy. He would have just, love you, honey. I know you won't listen to this, but he would have just turned a blind eye. Where I was so adamant about breaking the generational gap that we had. Do you know I've been homeless since I was 14? Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So when I was in the 9th grade, my high school boyfriend was Brad Houston.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And we ran with that crowd. Do you remember Danny? What was her? She was from Wallace. Anyways, we stayed over here at the Riverbend Inn, and that's just what you do on your prom night. So everything was great. We were in this house in Kellogg. It was one of the nicest houses we'd ever lived in. We grew up in this mouse-infested trailer. Took pictures. Everything was great. Came home the next day, and my mom locked me out. Changed the locks. Never saw any of my things again.
Oh, my
Had no clothes. And that's that, where you kind of can remember those pivotal times in your life?
Yeah.
That was it. When I say homeless, I don't mean out on the streets, but because I had to try to find places to live, but never being able to go back to your childhood home. I get like Melanie, it's been about 10 years ago. Chelsea, my niece, was here from the military, and Melanie brought this big toter of all of her childhood stuff, and I just had to turn around.
Right.
I was so happy for her, but I was so envious. I have nothing. And Melanie's like, what's going on? I just think it's so cool, Mel, that you saved all this stuff for her. I mean, this is so cool. But yeah.
But you don't have that to save. You didn't have that.
No. That's kind of what happened. Anyways, so where do you start to change as far as your physical appearance, and where do you start to get into eating again? Because you talked about before not eating.
I didn't eat for quite a while, and I think once I got pregnant, I knew I had to eat. So I full-fledged, I ate and ate way too much and wrong, totally wrong. And I would sit there and eat those raspberry powdered donuts.
Oh, that's funny you would say that.
Oh my gosh, I craved them so bad.
Oh my gosh.
And I ate them. They were my all-time favorite. Even now, sometimes I'm like, okay, that sounds really good. Not now, but I haven't had one probably in a year or so. Or more. But yeah, those were my favorite.
I gotta forget where you're going with this.
Okay.
Do you remember Tara Caber?
Yes.
That I used to hang
Yeah.
out with? We would party all night long, and then before school, we would get a box of those raspberry donuts and strawberry milk. And I can picture, and I have the worst memory because I blocked out all the bad stuff. I can picture us sitting on different streets in Kellogg, drinking this strawberry milk and eating these donuts. And at the time, I'm pretty sure I'd knock off 4 of them.
Oh, yeah.
No problem. Oh,
Yeah.
those were my favorites.
Mine too.
Anyways, go ahead.
It was crazy. Yeah, and then I had Jesse, and I remember Kelly buying me a bike, and so we could go. That's when they first came out with the mountain bikes, I think, or whatever. So he bought each of us one, and I remember getting out of the hospital, and he's like, "You want to go for a bike ride? You want to do this? You want to do that?" And I'm like, "Okay," and it was hard at first because I was not in shape. And I really didn't get into shape, but we still rode and did things here and there. But, I think once my kids were born, it just kind of went downhill because I had to take care of them first. was my thought. It's very selfish to do things for yourself. Or I think the way I grew up, I was thinking I have to do for them and them only and my husband, and no, that's not the truth. I feel like through this whole thing, I have to love myself. I have to take care of myself so I can take care of others, and I'm finally
Absolutely.
like you said, a switch just clicked. Like, you ding dong, you need to take care of yourself. And
So what's your other son's name?
Garrett and Jesse.
Garrett and Jesse. Okay. How old are they now? Oh, you said 30 and 28.
Garrett's 28. Yep.
Okay. So were you overweight basically through their whole childhood and adult life, or
Kind of.
where did you start?
So Garrett ended up with, I've always tried to lose weight, but I think when Garrett ended up with type 1 diabetes, and I was scared to death because we had lost my dad in his 50s, and I'm thinking, this is scary. I need to be healthy to take care of my son. He needs me big time. It's a major change in a life, for him. And I just wanted to be there to support him and be able to help him. And my other son, I was thinking
How
of
old
him
was
too.
he when he developed type 1 diabetes?
6, 5 or
Okay.
6.
Okay.
So, I started Body for Life. I did that for quite a while, and I did really well. Probably about 2 or 3 years.
Sorry, Vanessa. I
That's
gotta
okay.
shake Oscar. He's having a doggy mare over here. Okay.
And probably 2 or 3 years, I was in really good shape. Loved it. I felt good. And then I didn't drink, didn't do any of that. I went to church all the time. And then all of a sudden, my sons are in high school, and I'm like freaking out because my son's a senior, and I'm just like, what the heck? Started drinking. I did start drinking a little bit. I did get a desk job too, doing title work.
Okay.
I think that was a lot of me gaining my weight back and
Okay.
sitting all the time again. At a desk is just awful for you. But back then they didn't have the stand-up desks and all that. So, and then I was drinking wine probably every night. And I regret that to this day that I, turned to that, and I did not want to do that in my life, but I did. And I would drink a bottle by myself easily. And then, off and on, I did Optavia, Weight Watchers, and I tried to go back to the Body for Life. And I liked the Body for Life, but I think, again, I was feeling selfish, taking care of myself, if that makes sense, which is dumb, but yeah. And then when my granddaughter was born, I kept thinking, I need to get in shape for her to be able to run with her and play with her and do things with her. And not only that, for me. And I think last summer, I think I told you this, I kept having a recurring dream that I was writing letters to my family and to my friends saying goodbye. And I seriously know I was dying. And I just couldn't do it anymore.
In your dream, you were dying, or you were dying in real life?
Both. My whole body hurt. I felt like I had the flu every single day. It was not just, aches and pains here and there. Flu. Completely, and I was like, this isn't right. This is not normal. I cannot be feeling like this, Yes, I am in my 50s, but no, I should not be feeling this horrible. and I think I talked to you not last summer, but the summer before even. And I think I was wanting to do it, and I kept seeing your little blips here and there, and I was like, man, I really want to do this. And then when I finally decided, because of the summer, through the summer, I just was like, I can't walk across the room without being out of breath. What is this doing to my heart and my lungs and my everything? My knees, and I just thought, no, I can't do this anymore. And I've always tried to eat good, but I think in my mind I was eating good, but really I wasn't, because I'd ruin it during the weekend. Totally ruin it and do whatever I wanted. Like I was a teenager and could get rid of everything.
My coach Matt Laughlin always says you can only go as high as your lowest low. Do you feel like that was your lowest low, having those dreams? And when you called me, I can tell when people just want to put their toe in the water, and I can tell when people are ready to jump in. And you were ready to jump in.
Yes.
And I can't remember if I told you to your face or not, or whether we just talked about you, Melanie and I, but the conversation was, we are going to save your life.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that
Yes.
on the phone?
Yeah.
I did? Okay, good. What did you think when I said that?
I was like, all right, let's do this. And it's nice to have that person or people that you can call and be like, what do I do? Or where do I go from here? It's amazing because I don't know. It's nice having you guys as cheerleaders. I know that, because sometimes I went to the gym. I always would go to the gym and go to the classes, and you never felt like you could go up to them and be like, what should I eat? What should I do? I did Biggest Loser competitions. I actually did really well on one of them, and it was hard because you were like, what do you eat? What do you actually eat? And how many calories and this and that? And you would have to count your calories. You would have to, and I felt like it was meat and veggies all the time. And no,
I'm boring.
yeah.
Well, that's how Melfit was, founded, is at my brick and mortar studio. 4 days a week I was training people, and 1 day a week I would do nutrition. And that was the question. They would sit down and they would say, what do I eat? Just tell me what to eat. Well, I took it a step further. And our plan that's been sold thousands of times, our Melfit 12-week boot camp, if you're listening to this as a new listener, I almost don't even like to tell people because I love them to unwrap the gift and then be like, holy shit, were you not like, holy shit?
Yeah.
Like, it's quite obvious the work that we've done to help you guys. Shopping lists, printable fitness calendars where you can check off if you drank your water, if you ate your food, if you did your workout, if you sent your measurements and pictures every 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and 12 weeks. Gosh, I think a lot of times I would even put what aisle, not what aisle, but what store, what price,
Yes.
buy this in bulk, and just really trying to help people.
Cheaper here.
Yeah, squash the myth that Whole Foods is expensive. I think the number one thing that probably has helped Vanessa and a lot of people, our Melfit Army listening, is we do hold you accountable. And it may seem like the second grade, but the things that we learned in school worked. If you haven't listened to our podcast, I think it's episode number 40. Does that sound right, Josh? Everything we should know we learned in the second grade or third grade. I can't remember, something like that. And it goes back to what do you do when the bell rings? You go to your class. That's like this timer, did you get your clothes ready the night before? Yeah, most of the times we were on our own. We didn't have parents coddling us. We got our own selves up and got our own breakfast and got ourselves to school, packed our own lunches. But why aren't we doing that as adults? That's where, that's where that podcast is really helpful. And it's like, oh, wow, we shouldn't look at it as, oh my gosh, why do we have to do these things to help us every day? But why shouldn't you if it's going to help things go easier? So I was just going to plug in a couple little things here. Vanessa has lost 35 pounds. In my opinion, and I've been looking at naked bodies for over 20 years, because of the high inflammation levels that she had in her body, hence her saying she hurt. If you looked at her, it probably looks more like 75. Another client of ours, Eric Tipton, and friend, and has been on our podcast, he also looks like he's lost 100 pounds. So how we can prove this to you is her inches are 75 inches. So I just want to kind of we'll dip back into your story here a little bit, but while we're thinking about this in relation to your story about inflammation, what's different now? What's a day like for you now?
So
Okay, actually, let's do this, Vanessa.
Okay.
What was a day like for you before we met?
okay.
And what's a routine now?
So before we met, I would sleep until an hour before I had to leave work for work. I'd get up, shower, get ready, go. Now I get up, about 3:50 in the morning and work out, eat my breakfast, go to work and eat every 2 to 3 hours. And before I would have leftovers or, scrambled eggs or whatever for breakfast and piece of toast and rush off and coffee, and probably not enough water for sure. And now I drink I think I do drink a gallon. I drink a gallon of water and a cup of coffee a day. Sometimes I'll have two just because if I feel like it, especially when it's cold. Or I'll do tea instead. But I wake up feeling great. I don't wake up hurting, feeling like I need to take ibuprofen or whatever every day. But I feel amazing. And I feel like I get good workouts to where, they hurt good. They're not, it's a good hurt.
So you're waking up early, not resentful.
No.
It's not a struggle.
I don't regret my day.
You look forward to each day.
Yeah.
Make it count.
What's so weird is coming from what I grew up with to now I'm a total planner. I've always been a planner. My husband isn't, so it's hard for me. He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, wait, but I need to know.
Same.
I need to know.
Same.
What are we doing? Or,
Yeah.
because I prep. I do, packing or what, because we camp a ton. So it's like, okay, what day are we going? When are I don't know. I'm like, okay, but I need to know.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
Which is odd for me because when the way we grew up,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was turmoil constantly.
Yeah.
So
Do you feel like peace and organized?
yes, when I am doing what I should be doing, I feel like it's way better for me mentally, physically, spiritually. I mean, instead of all over the place.
The best analogy is like we two women who are health conscious and we're doing the W's. Water, walking, whole foods, weights, and what was my other one? Gosh, I thought I had another one. What was it? I'll think about it in a minute. So what got us here today and what's going to keep us here is planning, organize, and we help you with that. We help you. We give you tips all the time, how to break up your food prep, how to, schedule your workouts, different things to how to fit this into your life and create a balanced, non-stressful routine. I think that people who've never sat where we're sitting, they don't understand how uprooted we feel when things aren't planned.
Right.
I am not a spontaneous person. I would like to be. And the one thing I will tell you, it's hard for me to be spontaneous when my food and my workouts are so important to me. Spontaneity wreaks havoc in my life.
Yeah.
I will do it as long as my constant is there.
Yeah.
And that is the only time. But if you told me, pack your bags, if my husband said, pack your bags, we're going on a trip, first of all, I haven't got my workout in. How am I going to get my 15,000 steps? Where are we going? And how can I bring my food with me? That is why I'm sitting here today, 22 years in maintenance. And if people think that we're weird, think it. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's planning snacks for the plane. I went to my in-laws quite a few months back and I had a whole refrigerator full of food. I was not going to waste that. I stuck it in my bag and I brought it. And people to this day are like, you can bring food? Yes, you can bring food. They may pull your bag, which they do mine every time, and dig through it, but they don't take your food as long as my salad dressings are in my little. But yeah, and I was so glad. It was 3 days, but I had my food. So what would that 3 days have looked like for me? I would have felt unsettled, stressed. I would have felt weak and vulnerable, and that I would cave to what everybody else is doing is what I would have felt like.
Yep.
I mean, it kind of gives me my safety net. So I know you get that. So that's where, if you're listening to this and you are the spouse of somebody who is like us, I would recommend that you think about why we are the way we are, how much work we've put in to get here, and we're not willing to let it go.
Right.
So I get that. So when you were on the plan, you were making the camping and everything work.
Yes. I think I started it in September. So we were at the tail end of our camping. But yes, and now I'm trying to plan it to where my food is ready by Friday.
Okay.
So I can just go.
That's
Yeah.
smart. So you just moved your days, which is smart. Yeah. So Vanessa's done Melfit Boot Camp Phase 1, 12-week boot camp Phase 1, Phase 2, and now we're in maintenance. And then Vanessa also works with my twin sister, Melanie. Follow her at Vitality Personal Training. And what else do you want to talk about? What do you have on your notes? What have we not touched on that is near and dear to your heart?
I think you asked me about favorite quotes and
do you want to
like
go
that.
there?
Sure.
What is your favorite quote?
So I don't necessarily have a quote. I have verses.
Okay, I love it.
Isaiah 54, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Romans 8:37, we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. And that just touches me so much because I feel like I've had to fight all my life,
Same.
but I have somebody that has always fought for me,
I love that.
knowingly and unknowingly.
I love that. We'll include those verses. The first one you read kind of really is relative to something Josh and I are going through right now. Can you read that one more time, the top one?
No weapon formed against me shall prosper.
How's that one, Josh? Big time. Big time. I love it. I love it.
My biggest cheerleaders, I think, for sure, you and Melanie. I love it that you guys are always there, but of course my family. And I've seen a change in my husband, like, you're cooking, you're doing all your meal prepping, and, he's really good about standing beside me on that type of stuff. And he helps me sometimes. He'll chop stuff. And my boys, are amazing. I'll send them texts, hey, I'm down to this. And they're like, awesome job. And my daughter-in-law and friends. I have amazing friends. And I know there's people out there that are like, she'll fail sooner or later. She'll go back to her ways. And no, you can't fail with this if you do the work. But that's the key. You have to do the work too.
I've worked with a lot of people, and I can tell by people's, and it's okay if you're not strong. We'll help you be strong. And I'm not trying to say that, I mean, I can just tell this whole time that you were going to make it. I could just feel your energy from week to week. And I don't know, I try to dip people into my mind a little bit. Whatever it is you have to use to leverage and get you, even if you have to leverage the pain of people that doubt you, use it as a tool. Use it for good.
Yes.
I just did a post today for all the people that say you can't do it. Watch me. It's not cocky. It's confidence that we can back because we're doing the work. I tell people, it's like what Vanessa's gone through, the shopping, the prepping, the checking in, the emotional emotions that come with it, the uncertainty, the am I ever going to get there, but this week wasn't good. And, you really, weight loss really screws with your mind. Should I put this time in? Am I really getting, my return on investment? Should I keep going? I mean, you've got that imposter syndrome sets in. Can this work for me? And especially anybody over 40, because we have all done so many different things in our lives. It's like we're skeptics, right? We're eternal skeptics. But when you find something that works for you, that you believe in, I just feel like you should probably park your car here and just hang out for the rest of your life, because you've kind of found your tribe. And that's, you guys can do anything you want to do. It's $1 billion industry, but most importantly, ask yourself this one question: can I see myself doing this for the rest of my life? And if the answer is yes, then you found it. So I think that for anybody listening who hasn't tried any Melfit recipes, I'm a chef, but I'm very creative and I come up with 25-minute recipes. It's not boring.
No.
If we put Vanessa on chicken, broccoli, sweet potatoes, jasmine rice for the rest of her life, I think she probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
I've done it and I
So,
know.
I mean, yeah, I know. Bodybuilder style. So, okay. So where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Doing the same thing and feeling better and better. I see myself in great shape and being able to do things with my husband. I mean, we have so many plans, and with my granddaughter, and hopefully someday maybe more grandkids, or even with my boys, they're very active and they're amazing. I'm so proud of them. Like, I don't know if they know how proud I am of them, because they are both very healthy. They both pretty much eat pretty good, and like exercise, they're in amazing shape.
That's awesome.
And I'm very, very proud of them. I want to be them when I grow up.
You are them.
Yes.
You are them. And if one thing I want people to know, it's like, it's never too late. And just because you've been thinking about it for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, or 30 years, the one thing that was missing in all of those years that probably would have made this not work is your mindset.
100%.
If Vanessa called me 10 years ago, we probably wouldn't have been a good fit, because even we talked a year prior, but her mind wasn't there.
No.
And unfortunately, you can only go high as your lowest low. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, myself included, Melanie included, we actually had to hit absolute rock bottom before we pulled our head out of our arses. And that's what we're trying to help with. We're trying to help, our friends, our family, anybody we know, any of the listeners. Let's not get you to that low.
Right.
Let's, it's called preventative, preventative health care. So, yeah, I have no doubt that you'll make it. You don't have to mention any names, but has there been anybody on your journey that you feel like there's been a little bit of friction with? Maybe people think that you're going to gain it back, or maybe someone that's not walking the same path as you, maybe somebody that's taken a shortcut. Have you kind of felt any animosity, or have any friendships changed? Because sometimes when you change, you really notice
Yeah.
other people's.
I think my friends are pretty solid. They really are. They support me and I support them. I think the older you get certain friends and you keep them.
Yeah.
That are pretty solid.
Yeah,
And
I love that.
I know people question it because of, the pricing and all that, but why wouldn't you want to keep yourself healthy so you can be there for your family longer?
Yeah, you can't put a price on it.
No.
And what have we spent money on that hasn't worked? And what
I've
will
spent tons.
Yeah, if we had all that money, and what will you continue to spend money on that doesn't work? What advice would you give someone listening who hasn't started yet?
I did write this down. Let me see. Quit wasting time feeling like crap, because I did and I regret it. I do wish I could have had the mindset to have started it before, and I wish I would have started it before in my 40s if I could have, but I know it wasn't here in my 40s, but I starved. I ate crappy food. I didn't realize one of the things I was on, I wasn't even getting 1,200 calories. So when I worked out, I felt so weak that I wanted to eat, and so I ate, and of course you didn't lose. So, and this is the most satisfying habit that I have had of eating. I've never had food like this, and it's amazing. I mean, even when I go out on my free day, sometimes I'm craving a cheeseburger or whatever, and I'll go have a cheeseburger, and I'm like,
Isn't
it was
that
okay.
crazy? I know. And even when you travel, if you're a bit away from what your constant is, you'll be so excited to get home, to get to your, safe
Yep.
spot. But
Sometimes I'll have a salad because
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want.
yeah, yeah. Well, the only reason to look back is to learn. And, moving forward. The one thing that I'm really getting into is, our last guest, Eric, talked about being a centurion. People put, like, you can Google what the average lifespan is of a woman and a man. Who puts that on us? We can cure ourselves through movement, water, and whole food and good relationships. Like, who are you to say that I'm probably only going to live, who were those people? What were they eating? To me, I feel like where we're at now, we have a higher chance of longevity. And the people that are dying, what are they dying of?
Right.
It's not old age. It's related to something with their health. So, What is the biggest change? Well, I think we already hit this, but anything else you want to add? But what is the biggest change you've noticed since losing weight? Like, do you ever think, gosh, I used to do that and now I do this? Or for me, I had a little bit of body dysmorphia, Vanessa, where I didn't accept my size. I would drive in my car with my arms out here, or I would walk with my arms out there, and I'd have to go like this.
Yeah.
What have you noticed since losing weight where you were like, whoa?
I was telling my friend yesterday, there's some days when I look in the mirror and I see the before me still. And then I have to bring myself back down and be like, wait, no, look, I'll look at an old picture and be like, no, you do not look like that anymore. And I'm more comfortable in my skin. I have to say, I think I told you this when I was starting. I am not comfortable in my own skin. This is not me. I was not that person. I feel like I'm becoming me more, if that makes sense. Way more than I did before.
Gosh, we're good.
And like I said, loving yourself, I never did. I never loved myself, which was dumb in some ways,
Well, you had other people that affected that, so I get that. So I love that. So the one message that we wanna talk about is that it's okay to put yourself first. I mean, I had an epiphany 5 years ago that I was gonna live my life by design. Getting up at 4:30 and rushing out the door with no food, feeling very frazzled and unsettled every single day, living in chaos. And that causes your cortisol levels to raise up. It's hard to lose weight if you're stressed.
Oh, yeah.
And, I just decided that I was going to sell my business. And it was a radical decision. And in the last 5 years, you can see the way that Melfit has played out. Anybody that wants to play with me now, it's on my terms. I am not going to be at a job at 5 o'clock in the morning, to serve you with love. I'm going to serve myself first.
Yes.
Then I'm going to serve you. Before Vanessa got here, she worked out with Melanie. I worked out by myself. I had my water. I had my coffee. I had my weights. After this podcast, Oscar and I will get our walking in. But I don't feel bad about putting myself first. If I was sitting here with you right now and I hadn't done those things, I'd be very distracted.
Yeah.
My cortisol levels would be up and I would not be at peace. So I feel like my marriage is better now that I've put myself first.
For sure. Yeah, I feel the same way. And I feel like my husband's very proud of me. Like, I know he is. He says things here and there. And it's nice to hear.
Yeah, because when we're unhappy, they're unhappy because they want us to be happy. And when you're living in a shell that's not you, it just makes you unhappy.
It does.
Because that's although we know we're still in there, barely hanging on by a string, dying a slow death, it's really nice to just kind of have that metamorphosis. Like, do you feel like you're back?
I do. And better.
Isn't it cool?
And I know one thing, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I was.
Exactly.
And I feel like, I need to keep that in my head.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I feel like you've always embraced that.
Yes.
Because I have a hard time working with people that are obsessed about the finish line.
yes.
If I look back on my years where I was running marathons and half marathons and these bike races, the memories that stick with me aren't going through the finish line, grabbing that medal. The memories are being out on the road, running with my dog or running with my clients or running with my workout partners and, that kind of stuff. It's, I did the work. I knew I was going to get there.
Right.
You've always had that mindset. You're doing the work and you know you're going to get there.
Yes.
Right. But what is there? What is there? What do we all think our final destination is? What are we seeking?
Well, this is what I'm seeking personally, is having a healthy body to last me till the day I die.
I love that.
I mean, that's, I don't want to regret anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to be 300 pounds laying in bed thinking, why didn't I keep going?
Exactly.
I don't want regret.
Yeah. And do you guys notice that Vanessa did not say anything about a number on a scale? And I think that's pretty freeing when you no longer define yourself by a number on a scale. And again, I'd highly recommend that in-body scan, because that's what we're really focusing on right now, is reducing the percentage of body fat. And for Vanessa, because she has been strength training, she has a ton of muscle. That's all we need to focus on. On the flip side, if you take a person that has no muscle, we got work to do. It takes years to build muscle. And as quickly as you can gain it, you can also lose it. People think, oh, I'll just take this week off. I'll just take next week off. Oh, good luck. That muscle will be gone before you know it.
Well, even when I got sick, like, I was freaking out a little because I was like, oh my gosh, I know I'm not exercising, but it freaked me out that I wasn't in my zone of doing what I need to do. But thank God I got better. So that's all that counts.
So you just had your birthday.
I did.
What was different about this birthday and compared to last year's birthday? Because we hadn't started yet, correct?
No, we start. No.
Okay. Because did we start in September? Okay. What's different?
Yeah.
What do you remember about your birthday last year versus this year?
I'm pretty sure I drank a lot, and ate whatever I wanted. And this year I got to go shopping with my best friend and have an awesome day. We haven't done that in a long time, and went and had lunch. We had sushi, and I had a blast. I mean, and going clothes shopping after you lose weight is amazing, because I was shocked on some of the sizes, but some of them were still the same. But I think it's the clothing line, not necessarily me, but.
Do you know, did you know I had a couple clothing boutiques?
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I'm a stylist. We had one in the Coeur d'Alene Resort Plaza shops and one in Post Falls.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of times, I've been transforming people for over 20 years. A lot of times at my brick and mortar, the two gifts that I would give to people is, one, I would get a professional photo shoot done for them from Artisan Portrait Studio. Kibby, if you're listening, you're awesome. He does all our professional pictures. Because most people have never had a professional picture because they haven't liked what they look like for so long.
Right.
So that's something to capture. Two, I take them shopping.
Nice.
And my rule is I can actually look at people and practically tell what size they are. I don't really need to, I kind of know. My rule is I'm going to hand you a bunch of stuff. I want you to try it on, and don't you dare look at the size. So here's an example. One of my clients, she had some Christmas parties to go to. We go in, and she's like, everything fits me, and she could afford it. So she bought like three outfits, and we check out, and we're in the car, and she's like, I will never forget this day. And I know I shouldn't ask, but what size was everything? And I'm like, an 8. She's like, there's no way. Like, I think she was a 16 or something like that. And I'm not saying that a 16 is bad. I'm just telling the story. So she grabbed the bag. And she looked. And we all know what that feels like, right? It's like, wow. So I think it really is great to be able to, but as far as sizes go, it doesn't matter what the size is. It matters what fits you and what
Right.
makes you feel good.
Right.
Because they're honestly like Old Navy, I feel like Old Navy, they size down to make you feel better. I feel like the Gap is the same way. Well, it's the same company, right? Isn't Old Navy the
I
Gap?
think so.
So same, because I remember when I was my heaviest, I always liked to go get Gap jeans because I could go down like one or two sizes. So, and then there's China sizes where you're like, okay, this would fit a 12-year-old. So
Even the extra large, I'm
yeah,
like,
so
yesterday, I mean, I picked up some things and I'm like, this is an extra large. And Shannon's like, no.
yeah, it's honestly
It looks
so
like a child
if
shirt.
I would encourage anybody listening or watching right now, just go shopping and don't worry about the size. And feel good now, look good now. And that's what we love, rolling up our sleeves. Our girlfriend Tina, man, she's like, I got a class reunion. I don't know what you're going to do with this. Really big boobs, carried weight in her midsection, and the tiniest legs. And my girlfriend Laura, my business partner, and I were like, all right, let's do this. I wish we had it on video back then. And we get her in the dressing room and she comes out and you can just see her face because she would have never picked what we picked.
Right.
But we picked things to make you look good and feel good. And she's like, and we had everything. We had the shoes, so I mean, I really feel like you should stop waiting.
Yes.
Look good now. Oh, I'm going to wait until I'm this. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. It's like, I understand, like, because Josh is going through the same thing. It's like, oh my gosh, you're losing weight. How much money do you spend? But let's just face it, people wear the same 4 to 6 things every week, right? So go out and get yourself 4 to 6 pieces of clothing that look good on you and you feel good now. So anything else that you were thinking about that you wanted to share with our audience?
I think I pretty much hit everything, I think.
Right. Well, thanks for your vulnerability and sharing your story. I think it's really interesting to, know that we have so much in common, but also I really think that there is a correlation to, childhood hunger basically, and the scarcity of food. And then when you get to the age where you can actually afford to buy your own food, it's kind of like you feel rich, right?
Yeah.
But also in my home, I didn't wake up and see my mom on the treadmill.
No.
I didn't wake up and see my mom at her home gym. I didn't wake up and see my mom make a green smoothie. I didn't wake up and see my mom go for a walk,
No.
prepare us a healthy breakfast, prepare us a healthy lunch. My stepdaughters, Marissa and Talia, if you're listening to this, I love you guys. I know you thank me now. They're 28 and 29. There was nothing in our home that wasn't whole food. If anybody got a hankering for a snacky, a tacky, it wasn't happening at my house. You had to go get it and bring it back. And I don't know what people will think about this. I really don't care. When my girls brought their Taco Bell back, do you know what I did when they were eating it? I got in my Fitness Pal and I told them how many calories, how much fat, because I don't want them to die. Do you want to know what would happen? It would be hard for them to eat it. And I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, we always have whole food. We've been food prepping for over 20 years. And I babied these girls, which I probably shouldn't have. But my one stepdaughter, her mom was never around. So she asked me one night to eat with her. I'll try not to cry. And I was like, and it was always later. And I was like, why do you always want me to eat with you? And she goes, because I was always alone. And it just, so no matter what time, if she came home, I'd like, are you hungry? Do you want me to get your food? But yeah, those girls know that And I don't feel bad about it because it wasn't taught to me.
Right.
You know, it might not have been the norm when they were in high school. It was probably more popular to do what we did. Do you remember the Copper Keg?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you ever go get
Oh,
fries
yeah.
there?
The big fries.
Or I'd get a pizza pocket at what was that place called?
Super Stop.
Stop. Oh, anybody from our hometown is going to love listening to this podcast.
Big hunk and a pizza pocket. That
A
was my...
big hunk, yeah. And I remember literally Vanessa having no breakfast.
No, me neither.
And my first meal was that pizza pocket. And then I'd get home from school and I'd be starved. And do you think my mom had any dinner ready for me?
No. Anything like mine, no.
Yeah. I mean, she did. I feel like in the earlier years, she did try a little bit,
Yeah.
but it was always, and, she did the best she could, but it was always just trying to put, do you know what shit on a shingle is? Cream tuna on toast. Oh my gosh, this has been fun. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here today. I always knew we would save your life and change your life. And what makes me most happy is that you're happy.
I am. Yes.
And when I saw you a while back ago here, it's like, I've been looking at your pictures for a long time. I saw that you were back.
Yes.
Not fully. That first time I met you, there was still, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it.
No confidence.
Yes. That's, yeah. Like, and it's not that you were unsure of our program, but
Right.
but the more you get going, the more confidence you have. But you are a walking billboard.
Thank you.
You are an inspiration to anybody watching, listening, and anybody that sees you, anybody that sees your before and after pictures. And thank you for your transparency. And I think that someone told me one day I was at a gym, I had a booth, I would never share my before and after pictures. And I said, first of all, you've never been overweight.
Right.
Second of all, doing this holds me accountable. And thirdly, if this can help somebody else, then I'm glad to share.
Right.
And we know we're not going back there. And I always feel like we've really come to the top of the mountain when someone says they'll share. In the beginning, they're always like, hell no, do not share my images.
Yes.
Is that crystal clear? Who's going to see my pictures? And then when you said you were going to share, I was like, that's it. That's the light bulb moment that I needed from you. And when you were like, just do it, I was like, okay. Yeah. And I know that day you were probably scared. And I want to tell you that there's so many creepers out there, Vanessa.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many people that are watching and they won't like and they won't comment. But, your story will be someone else's roadmap. I mean, it might take them a year and they'll be like, I saw your stuff on Facebook. I listened to your podcast. I wasn't ready at the time, but you were my inspiration. I could so relate to your story. So thank you for your vulnerability.
Yes.
And life is going to get better and better. And I feel the same way with my life, Vanessa. Like, I don't want to have regrets. I want to do all the things, but, with a healthy body.
Yes.
And you hear these people that, they wait till they're 70 to retire and then they're in a healthy body. It's like, we're going to do all the things now. So to all the people who have helped us along this journey, Melanie, Shannon, Kelly, Jesse, Garrett, keep it coming, because if you have a good support team, that is everything. I read questionnaires all the time, and I the question that I ask is, do you have a good support system? And most people say no. So count your blessings if you guys do. And as a coach, sometimes I tell people, you got me.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fair weather coach. I'm not the type of person that doesn't respond when you need me. If you need me, I'm here. So thank you, Josh, for making this podcast possible. Thank you, Oscar,
Yes.
for being our companion. And thank you guys for coming this far with us. Hopefully, you've been walking. Do you have a walking treadmill now, right?
Yes.
Yes. Walking or riding your bike or doing something active. And we wish you guys health and happiness. If you haven't started on your journey, feel free to reach out to myself or Vanessa. If you're okay with this, we'd like to share your social media
Yes.
handles. Okay. And you know what? It's scary
Yes.
to say I need help.
It is. It's like you feel like a failure. Like, why am I at this point? But you need it. You need the support and you need help.
So that's all you need to do is reach out to either one of us and just say, I need help. No questions asked. We know we've been in your story or we've been in your shoes. We know your story. Although our stories differ a little bit, it's the same.
Yes.
It's up and down and chasing shiny objects and wasting money. So for once in your life, I would encourage you to try to believe in yourself and believe that there is something out there that's going to work for you, that's not going to break the bank for the rest of your life. So thanks for joining us, you guys. I hope you've enjoyed our podcast. And thanks again, Vanessa, for being our guest.
You're welcome.
And happy birthday. And we'll
Thank
see you
you.
guys on the next Melfit podcast. Bye-bye.